How's it going, everybody? Nerds Rising here, and welcome back to the Nerd Cave. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys a very strong triple non-XL, triple non-legendary team in the Open Ultra League. Now, for those of you guys who have followed my channel for a while, you've probably noticed that the Ultra League is not my favorite. And I also really have not spent a lot of resources on the Ultra League. But this video proves that you do not need XL candy or legendaries to succeed in the Ultra League. Now, really, I don't think, if you look at the team comp over there on the left, I don't think that Charizard or Walrein need an introduction. They've been around for a while, and obviously now with the wing attack buff on Charizard, you've seen it around. It's an absolute monster, and Walrein as well is an absolute beast. But Lapras is the unsung hero of this team, because Lapras honestly has been good for so long, and it was top meta for sure in like seasons 2, 3, 4, basically up to the point where Walrein was released, and then all of a sudden everybody just forgot about Lapras. But I did not. I've had this Lapras for a very long time, and as you see, it's not even running the Legacy Ice Beam, but it is so good, guys. You were going to see Lapras put in so much work today, and if you have not built one, you absolutely should, because this is not even an XL Lapras. I believe that it is recommended to have an XL Lapras, but I think this one's like level 38.5, and you would not be able to tell because it can take hits for days. So, that being said, with this team, I went, I think, 23 and 30. So I had all positive sets. And honestly, this team is pretty versatile. I will say that it is triple weak to electric and rock, but I saw no electric types or rock types in the 30 battles that I played. So that being said, let's get into the battles and let's see what this team can do. And I have to say, again, this team just really is very safe. The main threats, as you're going to see in this battle, are going to be the steel types. So we had a Shadow Gliscor, and we are met with a Cobalion. So this is a little tricky. I do safe switch Lapras here, and you will be seeing me occasionally switch Walrein as well. It just kind of depends on the battle. But as you see here, Cobalion, even though it's taking neutral from these Surfs, it is just very thick and very spammy. So we are not going to be getting a shield or any sort of switch advantage as well from this battle. So we're going to just stay in here and try to get to a third Surf. But as you see, the opponent's not going to let that happen. He's going to get his Sacred Sword off right away. And the unfortunate thing here is that this thing is not really in a range where we're going to be able to farm down. And we also do have to be concerned about the Stone Edge, because a Stone Edge would kill probably 3 Charizards. So we do respect it, and we get baited. And since he baited, we're probably going to have to throw some energy now, or he's probably going to get to a Stone Edge. So I do throw the Claw here just to take it out. And now we're in a bit of a tricky situation because he's up shields, and he does bring back in the Shadow Gliscor. So here, I'm going to try to bait and hopefully get a shield back. Let's see. And we do land the bait, so that's massive. And now we're in even shields, and the opponent brings in a Registeel. And since he waited a turn, we're going to get to this Earthquake before the opponent gets to his move. And now we're going to put the pressure on the opponent. Does he want to give up his second shield? And he does. And this is huge, because as you're going to see, even though this Walrein is not XL, we can tank a hit. And this Zap Cannon does do huge damage, but we're not in a range where Lock-On is going to be able to farm us down. So hopefully here we can get to another Earthquake. And honestly, I think this might have been a CMP tie. If this is a CMP tie, this would be absolutely amazing. And it is a CMP tie. This is huge. So now we can just let our Walrein go down. And this Registeel is definitely in a range where a Blast Burn is going to KO. And the nice thing here is that the opponent threw right away. So we're going to have to play this very carefully, but I think we can do it. We're going to tank this Night Slash. We're not in Night Slash range. And I do tank the first as well, just in case the opponent boosts. And now what I need to do is overfarm enough to where I can outpace this Registeel to another move. So I'm going to farm up a couple more wing attacks here, and now I'm going to throw the Blast Burn. And this Blast Burn will be easily taking out the Gliscor. And I believe we should only be 4 wing attacks away from the next Blast Burn. Can we outpace? And we do just barely outpace the Registeel. And that's going to be a very good game 1. So as you see there, even though we were countered on the swap, our Lapras put in work And our Walrein in the end game, since we drew out their best response, was able to put in work against their second steel type. So very good game 1. And a Shadow Swampert in the next lead. So you're going to see me doing something very risky here. I farm up one past the move, recognizing that the opponent may overfarm, and I catch the Hydro Cannon on my Lapras. So what a play. Really, what I recognize there is most people are skilled enough to realize that if I'm staying into a bad lead, I'm probably going to try to make a catch. So he wisely overfarmed, but I read him like a book and I caught the Hydro Cannon. And then he brings in an Alolan Ninetales to our Lapras, and Skull Bash here is very nice. And he actually respects it, which I was not expecting at all. But we do get our Skull Bash shielded, but as you see, we buff our defense, and check how little this damage does. This Psyshock does absolutely nothing. And honestly, I may have been able to make that Skull Bash, but I wasn't sure if I was going to live this next charm. So I settled for the Surf, but as you see, I did live that charm. So I could have made another Skull Bash, but honestly, that's okay, because as you see, we had so much extra energy there. We're going to get to this Blast Burn before the opponent can throw. And he just lets it go down. So now we've still got a shield advantage. And I know this Swampert has some extra energy. So again, I call that he's going to overfarm by 1. I throw 1 wing attack, and then I switch, and I catch another Hydro Cannon onto my Ice Water type. And honestly, at this point in this game is now over, because the opponent doesn't have a lot of extra energy on his Swampert. And this Talonflame with the shield deficit is not going to be able to take out our Walrein. Because even if he Brave Birds here, which he probably won't, we could then just come in and farm down with the Charizard. And as you're going to see, we do call the Flame Charge. And at this point, I'll just get my Icicle Spear off here. And it doesn't really matter if he shields or not. If he shields, fine. We'll just win with our Charizard. But as you see, he lets it go, which is probably the right play by the opponent. But now, we're just going to come in and wing attack farm down the Talonflame. And even though there's a Shadow Swampert waiting for us in the back, we have 2 shields. And we're going to come into this with already almost a Blast Burn loaded in. Shadow Swampert does not appreciate Blast Burns, as you're about to see. We're just basically going to farm up to nearly the back-to-back, and the opponent has to get to 3 Hydros here, so he knows it's over, and he calls the Dragon Claw, and we Blast Burn him and win the game. So very nicely played by the opponent there, but we were just able to make some nice catches, which really gave us a good advantage there. So Gyarados lead in the next game, and honestly, Gyarados is a bit tricky. We do say switch into our Lapras again, and we're met with the Cresselia here. And this battle is a very, very good showcase for the bulk of Lapras, because Grass Knot is super effective, but as you're going to see, it does not do that much damage. And since we're running Skull Bash, we're going to be able to buff up our defense. And what this is going to do is it's going to basically put us in a range where the opponent's going to have to hit us with 3 Grass Knots if he wants to take us out. And as you see, even though Cresselia is extremely tanky, these Ice Shards and Skull Bashes do add up. The Cresselia is now below half health, and this now buffed Grass Knot does not do hardly anything. And as you see, the opponent's forced to throw right away, so he does not overfarm. He knew that he was not going to be able to farm us down, so he throws right away. And this is going to set up our Charizard for a nice chance to get a lot of extra energy here, because most Cresselias are not out there running Grass Knot and Future Sight. So I'm just going to farm up to the back-to-back Blast Burns here. And as you see, Moonblast really does not do too much. So we're just going to farm up. And I'm expecting the opponent probably to just go straight for the Grass Knot here. So I count to 5, and I do throw on the CMP tied to the Grass Knot. And it just happened to be back-to-back Blast Burns, so that's perfect. So we take the Cresselia out, and now we've got a lot of energy on our Charizard. So we're not out of the woods yet, but we're nearly at the back-to-back Dragon Claw. So I'm going to throw 1, and then I'm going to farm up a little bit more, bank a Dragon Claw, and bring in my Walrein. So we just have to hope that there's something in back that Walrein can handle as well, because if there's like another Steel type or something in the back, this may get a little tricky. So let's see what's in back, and it's actually a Giratina. So the opponent is double weak to our Walrein, and I'm just really hoping here that the opponent is not running Ancient Power, because since Ancient Power got buffed, I have seen some Giratinas running Ancient Power. So we're going to do something really risky here, and we're going to call a Dragon Claw bait. Does the opponent have Ancient Power? And he throws the Dragon Claw. So I'm not sure if he doesn't have it or if he was baiting there, but we make that call, and that's absolutely huge. So now we're going to put the pressure on the opponent. Does he want to shield? And he actually lets it go. So now I'm realizing I can probably farm down, and it looks like the opponent's going to commit both of their shields to the Gyarados. And honestly, our Walrein is still pretty low, so this is going to be a bit scary. We do get to our Icicle Spear, so we should be getting a shield, but now it's going to be basically 1 shield Charizard versus 1 shield Gyarados, and honestly, we're getting pretty low, and these Dragon Breaths are doing a ton of damage. We are now at the back-to-back Dragon Claws, but Dragon Claw, not the strongest move, and it's non-stab. So we get the shield, but I'm not sure that this Dragon Claw is going to KO. Let's see how much this does. And it doesn't do that much, and the opponent farms down. So can our Walrein Powder Snow down, or is the Dragon Breath going to add up? We're getting very close to dying, but the opponent throws an Aqua Tail, and he does not have back-to-back moves, and that allows our Powder Snow to go through, and we live on very low HP. So by throwing the move there, the opponent may have cost them the game. I'm not sure. It may have been a tie if he doesn't throw the move there. So a bit fortunate there, honestly. And we're met with a Trevenant in the next battle, and the opponent state switches into a Galarian Stunfisk, and this is a bit tricky, honestly, because our backline will be taking super effective, but we also are going to be nearly one-shotted from the Rock Slide, so I'm just going to play out the one shield here at first, and see if I can get a shield back before I switch into my Lapras. And the opponent calls the bait, and we land the Blast Burn. What a huge call. So that's massive for us, because now, as you're going to see, we're bringing the Lapras in, and these Rock Slides do not do that much, even though they're super effective. And we're going to just tank 2 Rock Slides very easily, and we're going to farm all the way down. So that was massive that we landed that Blast Burn. Otherwise, our Lapras would have had a tricky time, because as you see, a 3rd Rock Slide there would probably nearly KO. And we're not running Ice Beam, but the Trevenant does not know that. So when he comes back in here, we're just going to make sure that we build up to at least 6 Ice Shards before we throw, and fake the Ice Beam each time. So as you see, we do bait, and the opponent does respect the Ice Beam. And rather than throwing the Surf there again, I force the opponent to throw some energy there, because I did build up to another potential Ice Beam. And again, the opponent didn't know we didn't have it, so he's forced to throw there, and that prevents him from farming us down. And the opponent's last mon is a Charizard. And here is where you're going to see the raw power of Blast Burn, because this is a resisted move, but it does so much damage. And the opponent, honestly, even if he throws the Blast Burn here, we will live this. And then we're going to have the energy for the Dragon Claw. And at this point, the opponent's going to have to make a decision. Are they going to throw... Are they going to shield this as our Xbox light falls off the wall in the background? Are they going to shield this? And they do shield this. So at this point now, what I'm recognizing is our Walrein can just clean this up. Our Walrein basically can just farm down the Charizard. We do call the Dragon Claw there, and I will shield this move, knowing that a Blast Burn would do more than the Seed Bomb from the Trevenant. So we just farm down, and now we nearly have 2 Icicle Spears loaded for the Trevenant, and at this point, this is game over. And my light is just laying on the ground in the background, so let's hope it's not broken. But honestly, you know what? We're keeping that in the video, because I am not refilming this. And as you see there, the Trevenant did top left, so very good game to the opponent. And we're into the next battle, Alolan Ninetales. Is it running Charm or Powder Snow? And it is Charm, so that's a good matchup for Charizard. But the opponent unfortunately brings in an Armored Mewtwo here, and this thing is very, very tanky. So I do decide to either get a shield or do some damage first. And I'm going to try to catch a Psy Strike here, but the opponent wisely holds onto their energy. So since he shielded that Blast Burn, I am more than happy to trade shields here. So I will shield this first move here, expecting that the opponent would probably not bait on a very bulky mon like Walrein. So I know he's going to hit me with a Dynamic Punch here, but this is not going to be enough to KO. And as you're going to see here, I'm going to try to be a little sneaky, and I'm going to try to trick the opponent into thinking I'm going to go straight Icicle Spear here. So I throw 1, and I'm going to farm up a little bit more. And the opponent, I'm hoping, is expecting me to go for another Icicle Spear. And the opponent knows an Icicle Spear isn't going to KO, so he's probably going to let it go. But we throw the Earthquake, and we take it out. And that allows us to not have to expend another shield. And we get to a last-second Icicle Spear against the A9. And now this A9 is definitely in a range where Blast Burn will KO. So here, we're just going to farm up some extra energy. I know he's going to outpace me here, and that's fine. So rather than trying to throw the move, I'm just going to massively overfarm here and probably try to go to the back-to-back Blast Burns. But then the opponent brings in a Swampert. So I count up. I did throw the Dragon Claw 1 Mud Shot before they get to the Hydro. So he is now getting his energy for the Hydro. So I'm going to try to catch, but the opponent wisely holds on to their energy. But honestly, you might be thinking this is pretty rough because we have no shields, but Lapras does not need shields. As you see, that Earthquake does not even do half. And the opponent here, he can tank 1 Surf, but if he tries to overfarm, we will be getting to a 2nd Surf, and we have the Dragon Claw loaded. So he's basically going to be forced to throw his Earthquake right away, because if he let us get to the Surf, he would have to shield it, and then we could have just sniped and won CMP with the Charizard. So he's forced to throw right away, and now our Charizard just comes in, farms down, and we are nearly at the back-to-back Blast Burn. So I throw one Wing Attack, and at this point, the opponent's only win con is to call a Dragon Claw bait, and he does, and we one-shot the A9 and take a very close game 4. So good game to the opponent there. And we're met with another Trevenant in the next battle. And honestly, our whole team does pretty decent against Trevenant, so I'm happy to see Trevenant, and the opponent brings in a Mandibuzz. And here is again where you're going to see the raw power of Lapras, because even though we gave the opponent an energy lead here, Lapras does not care. Lapras is so thick. And even though we're not running Ice Beam, again, Skull Bash is going to come in handy here, because Skull Bash is going to be buffing up our defense even if the opponent shields. And it's just going to allow us to tank these foul plays for days. And we've already tanked 2 foul plays, and we're just now getting to half health. And as you're going to see, this Skull Bash does get shielded, but now these foul plays are going to be doing even less damage. And this is going to allow us to comfortably tank even 2 more foul plays. Look at how little that foul play does to our Lapras. So we're just going to keep farming up. The opponent gets to a 4th foul play. Lapras does not care. We're going to just commit to the Skull Bash, and basically what we're going to do here is either force the second shield or take switch advantage and shield advantage. Does the opponent give up his last shield? And he actually just lets it go, so this is perfect. And the opponent brings in a Galarian Stunfisk, because this is a little bit scary, because as you see, the opponent probably could mudshot us down. So what I decided to do here is get this shield, and I'm going to pivot into my Walrein, because I don't want to let that Brgfx get a massive energy lead, because a Rock Slide nearly one-shots Charizard. So I just bring in the Walrein here, and as you see here, Rock Slides just do not do that much to Walrein either. And here the opponent basically now has to decide whether they want to stay in here and align their Trevenant to the Charizard, or if they want to bring in the Trevenant and align it to our Walrein. So let's see what they do, and they actually make a beautiful catch. The opponent calls that I'm not baiting, and he catches the Earthquake on the Trevenant. So very nicely done by the opponent. But unfortunately for him, our Walrein is super thick, and we do get to an Icicle Spear. And the opponent knows I have a lot of energy on the Charizard, so he actually elects just to let it go and save his shield for the Brgfx. So I still think we're going to be fine here, because the opponent's not going to get to 3 Rock Slides before we get to 2 Blast Burns. And I think at this point the opponent knows his win con is basically going to be to call a Dragon Claw bait, because I'm basically at the back-to-back Blast Burns. So if I Dragon Clawed and he no-shielded it, he might have a chance. But as you see, I'm not taking any chances, and he does call the bait, and we do land the Blast Burn. Alright guys, and we've got a couple battles left. I did pause briefly just to make sure my Xbox Lite was okay, and it still works, so I did not break it, fortunately, but I really just need to nail this thing up instead of using those dang command strips. So anyway, we've got like, I think 2 battles left, so let's get into the next one here. And we've got another Shadow Gliscor, and in the last battle, you remember I safe switched Lapras. This time I decide to try to safe switch Walrein, just in case it is the same team. That way I can actually hit this thing for some super effective damage, rather than those Surfs. But as you're going to see, Cobalion is so thick, it tanks the Earthquake, and our Powder Snows are not going to do enough damage to farm down. So what I'm realizing is, the opponent can probably outpace me before I even get to this Icicle Spear, and he does. So even though we safe switch into Walrein, we still cannot get switch or shield advantage. And what I'm realizing is, if the opponent has a Registeel in the back, this could get a little scary. This time I don't overfarm as much, because I don't want to waste a shield on that potential Stone Edge. So I do throw this Dragon Claw right away. So at the very least, we're not down shields like we were last battle. But again, if they've got a Registeel in the back, our Lapras is not going to have a lot of play against it. So they do bring back in the Gliscor. I will tank 1 Night Slash, and then I'm going to be bringing in the Lapras. And we just have to pray that it's not a Registeel, and it's actually not. Thank goodness, it's a Giratina, which is still a little scary, because as you're going to see, this Giratina actually is running Ancient Power, and Ancient Power does do a decent amount of damage. And again, we're not running Ice Beam. We should be able to get at least 1 shield, because there's no way the opponent's going to risk getting one-shotted here. But as you see, we just aren't going to be able to do that much charge move damage to this Giratina. So I do throw a Surf here, hoping he shields another potential Ice Beam, but he lets it go. And now I think the opponent realizes I don't have it, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to farm down. So my plan here is to shield this potential Ancient Power, and I was going to try to catch a Dragon Claw here on my Charizard, but I mistime it, and the opponent throws his move in the middle of my Ice Sword, so very nicely done. I am going to have to commit my last shield, and we'll have to see what the opponent decides to do. He actually brings in the Gliscor here, and I am at the back-to-back Surfs, but a Wing Attack does go through, and as you're going to see, he wins CMP on my second Surf, so now it's going to be all up to Charizard. Can Charizard clutch this endgame for us? The opponent is Energy Dry, so I count up to 5 Wing Attacks, and I win CMP on the Blast Burn, and this will easily be one-shotting the Gliscor, and since I over-farmed, I think I should just be able to barely outpace the Giratina, and we do. Wing Attack Charizard, guys. If you have not built one, it is absolutely worth your Elite Charge TM because it is an absolute monster, and Charizard honestly clutched that game for us. Lapras did get us some shields against that Giratina, but honestly, that was a time where Ice Beam would have been nice. And we're back with a little bit of lag in the next battle, but we do have a Shadow Walrein. Here I was thinking about doing the same thing against the Swampert and farming up one pass and then catching, but the opponent actually throws right away, so we'll keep this in mind, and we'll try to catch the next one on our Lapras. So I do throw the Blast Burn here. I am not going to risk a bait. I'm going straight for the big move. And the opponent calls it, and we land the Blast Burn. I throw 2 more Wing Attacks, and now I catch the double resisted Icicle Spear onto the Lapras. And this will do a laughable amount of damage. That does absolutely nothing. Honestly, 1 Charm probably does more than that. And the opponent brings in a Shadow Swampert. And honestly, if the opponent is bringing in a Shadow Swampert to an Ice Water type, that very well tells me that they could have something even weaker to it in the back. So I'm expecting there probably to be a Flyer in the back, so I'm not going to be shielding this Lapras. I'm just going to be getting these Surfs off right away, and we're going to be saving our last shield for Walrein in. The opponent actually lets that go as well, and now, does he want to just let his Swampert go down, or is he going to respect this Surf? And he actually does shield, so looks like he is maybe going to commit to a farm down, but he realizes there that Lapras is just so thick, and he cannot farm down, so he's forced to throw here. And at this point, I'm putting it on Shadow Walrein. I will bring it in and commit to the farm down. And honestly, I'm going to just respect this Earthquake and farm down, knowing that if the opponent, again, brought a Swampert into our Lapras, he very well may be weak. And it's a Talonflame in the back. And honestly, even down a shield, we're going to be just fine here. So here you see me bring in the Charizard, basically to force the opponent to Brave Bird here. A Flame Charge would not KO. And by forcing him to Brave Bird here, he's going to be lowering his defense. And our Walrein in the back is not in Brave Bird range. So he throws the Brave Bird there. And honestly, he's going to probably hit us with another Brave Bird. But at this point, all I have to do is just farm up, get his last shield here, and just farm up to the back-to-back Icicle Spears now. Because this Brave Bird will be coming through, but it is not going to KO because XL Walrein, or actually, excuse me, regular Walrein, even though it's not XL, is super, super thick. And we do get to the back-to-back Icicle Spears. We have one for the Talonflame. They do have a very low health Walrein, so I will throw 1 Powder Snow just to make sure it's not the Swampert. And now we will take out this Walrein with our Icicle Spear. And the Swampert is Energy Dry and in Powder Snow farm down range in the back. And we take the win. So very good game to the opponent. And honestly, guys, again, if you're looking for a team that is very accessible, does not require XL candies, and is just very, very strong for the Open Ultra League, this is the team for you. And again, Charizard and Walrein don't need any introduction, but Lapras, do not sleep on Lapras, because Lapras is a beast. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. We are so close to 100 subscribers still, and again, thank you guys so much for the support. I've been absolutely thrilled with all the love I've got in the past 2 months. So thank you very much. And again, keep in mind, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so, because the more subscribers we can get, the more Pokemon my wife will let me play.